Welcome back to another episode of What's New in Beauty. My name is Nia Lee, and I'm super excited to have you guys here. If you're new to the podcast, of course, this is essentially where I talk about all new and exciting things happening in the beauty industry and just honestly any topics in beauty that I'm just very interested in deep diving into. So without further ado, let's jump straight in. So I've been seeing a ton of people talk about this, especially on TikTok, giving their takes, but I really wanted to talk a little bit more about this news and also just share my thoughts again about Kourtney Kardashian's newest launch of her launching this new lifestyle brand called Lemme that literally is having everybody in a chokehold on social media. Immediately, if you're looking at the brand online, on Instagram and on TikTok, it's very colorful, it's very Gen Z-esque. But essentially, according to PR Newswire, it's going to be a new vitamin and supplement brand with innovative science-backed formulations that are delicious, clean, packaged in 100% PCR, which is post-consumer recycled materials / packaging. Essentially, this is a culmination of Kourtney Kardashian's decades-long passion for health and wellness and 5 years of research with a team of leading scientists, MDs, and botanists to create the cleanest possible gummy vitamins and supplements, which I think is quite interesting because I do believe there is this rise in health and wellness. I believe the pandemic really kind of, birthed that in a way. I mean, yeah, you had people who were very interested in taking care of themselves prior to that, but I think the pandemic really allowed people to look at themselves a little bit differently in terms of taking care of things that maybe you weren't necessarily focused on before. So things like supplements, vitamins, like brands like Care of or Athletic Greens have really just kind of taken over in a way that's really dope and cool to see how many people are trying to find ways to allow wellness to be a part of their lives, but not in the strict way that we all know. So this is a very interesting thing, especially considering this is something that she seems to be passionate about as well too. So she specifically says, after years of struggling to find the right supplements, I embarked on a journey to create science-backed products that you would legitimately look forward to taking every day. As well, it was also revealed in The Sun that this new venture is actually a partnership with longtime Kardashian bestie Simon Huck. And specifically, it is all in due of when they actually filed for the trademark back in February, which I'm thinking I'm sure the trademark is still in lieu of going, but very interesting to me to see when they eventually get the trademark for this, because it takes a while for trademarks to actually, fully come together, but very interesting on that front as well. So Lemme itself is going to launch 3 gummy supplements formulated with clinically studied, globally sourced ingredients. Of course, they're vegan, cruelty-free, non-GMO. No corn syrup, glucose, gelatin, the whole 9. So this is really supposed to be free of any artificial sweeteners, synthetic colors, and sugar alcohols. They all are going to be $30, and they all have cute names to them, which I like as well too. So the first one's Lemme Matcha. They also have Lemme Chill and then Lemme Focus. The Lemme Chill one is about de-stressing essentially. The Lemme Focus one is about concentration. The Lemme Matcha, which matcha is having a moment right now. It's actually had a moment, I feel for the last 2 years or so. And it's very interesting to see how a lot of the stuff that seems to be coming from this brand gives off this very very heavily Gen Z influence. We're just creating things. Yes, there's, I'm passionate about it and I've been working on it for 5 years, but it still very feels super colorful and almost Y2K-esque with the bright colors. And it's an interesting thing as well too, because I wouldn't necessarily say this is Kourtney's brand. You can sit here and say the Kardashians, yes, they're marketing geniuses, whatever you want to call it, but the real thing that I'm really just kind of look forward to is they understand how to mold themselves to fit whatever the standard or whatever the society / mainstream essentially is into currently. And I feel they essentially, when it came down to branding, was we need to create something that is very Gen Z focused, very colorful, almost Y2K-esque, very nostalgic in a way, but cute, and also something that people are going to be in a way very excited to kind of use or have on their, have in their kitchen, have in their cabinets, have on their dresser, because yes, we kind of want this to be like a fun thing instead of like the sleek, monochromatic black/white vibe that like Kourtney Kardashian has, even with her brand Poosh. And I also think this is interesting as well too, because Lemme actually has a partnership with Carbon Fund, which is essentially offsetting the footprint of every Lemme shipment. And specifically with One Tree Planted, they are committed to planting thousands of trees every year to restore forests and habitats and make a positive social impact around the world. Specifically as well too, it was also announced that with Lemme, especially, after they launched these gummies, that there might be a production of like bags and purses, totes, wallets, clothing, possibly even games, toys, and sporting goods, which I feel like that is really like the essence of that lifestyle brand, especially like cornering each market. Because if you're getting like toys and games involved, like you're entering into a whole other universe of like kids, right? And I'll be interested to see how this kind of again fits with this whole like ideal of, lifestyle, and specifically how people are slowly but surely wanting to do more like wellness things, but they specifically want it to be fun. I feel like there's this wave of beauty brands trying to like interject fun into, the normal things that we do normally when it comes to taking care of ourselves. But going back to my original point about it being very, Gen Z, and when I say Gen Z, you're probably thinking like that's such annoying that I keep saying it, but like everybody knows what the Gen Z aura is, right? It's very like, it can be a little bit over the top. It's very in your face. There's a colorful element to it that, feels very like, oh my God, like this could appeal to a young person. But at the same time, it could also appeal to someone like myself who's like in my late, mid to late 20s, who likes very colorful and fun things and is looking for something, that's not so serious. Because like vitamins and supplements like that has the look, right? They are specifically disrupting that industry. And I was actually watching a TikTok video, and I don't remember exactly where it was from, but essentially they were talking about this guy who is a founder, and he's made tons of brands and tons of products. But essentially what he does is he creates brands and companies by taking a thing that is in society already, that people already love, that's like boring and basic, and he goes out and makes it like 10 times more exciting and fun and cool. And that just comes down to branding at the end of the day, right? And I think that's really what this is. I really feel like this is a branding play more than anything. Like I really do feel like nothing super duper innovative. I mean, like the Lemme Matcha, Lemme Chill, all of that, there's stuff already that exists in the market like that. So I just feel like this is another quote unquote brand on the Kardashian belt, another opportunity for them to make more money if they, as if they already don't have enough. But at the same time, this is an opportunity, it seems to be, that Kourtney has that, is now diversifying her portfolio even more. But I will say as well too, especially with the latest backlash with the whole like Boohoo collaboration that she did, and how so many people are saying that this is greenwashing fully, and like there wasn't a lot of sustainability or even taken into consideration about like the clothing itself, and like that look doesn't look so good for what's going on with Lemme, considering this is supposed to be this like ethical, clean, 100% PCR packaging, materials, well thought out brand, where it's like, that's cool that you're doing it over here, but like what's going on with your other partnerships? And does that make people say, well, maybe I don't want to support her, because it seems that most of the things that she seems to be doing are for a cash grab, outside of her starting Poosh, which was, I believe, this online platform where she shares like tips and gets into wellness, and she has contributors in the whole nine. At the end of the day, when it comes to the Kardashians, like I don't really have an opinion on them too much, in the sense of like, I try to keep them out of sight, out of mind. They're everywhere, and everybody in every which way is trying to scarf them down your throat. But I feel like when it comes to like the business moves that they're making, specifically in the beauty world, everything always seems very cash grabby to me. Like nothing has ever really felt genuine, even right down to like the Kylie lip kit stuff. I always feel like it is screaming like, we're coming up with this brand, and sure, it took however many years, but it's something that we're just kind of throwing together, and we hope that people are going to buy it, and we know people are going to buy it based off of our name. not because the products are innovative, not because anything they're bringing to the table is, hasn't already been done before. If anything, they are creating things that have already been done before, but are just slapping their names on it. And so many people are, actually buying it. And I just find that to be a strange concept altogether. But the brand actually launches on September 27th on their platform, lemmelive.com, which is their website. I could obviously see them maybe even launching an app as well too. I could totally see that being something dope, especially if they're looking to get into tech. But it'll be interesting to see what people's thoughts of Lemme is. I'll be excited, of course, to see the marketing roll out fully. She hasn't actually posted too much. It's just been, promotional photos here and there, some behind the scenes stuff on TikTok. But it'll be interesting to see how everything comes together with that. And, hopefully, again, I don't have to talk about the Kardashians again, but every moment, in time, they come up with some other, BS stuff that they want to, scarf down our throats. And we're just all lemmings and we're just all gonna, buy it and such. Well, I can't, I'm not a lemming, but I know so many people are when it comes to the brand and what it is that they put out and are hoping that it gets them close proximity to them, in which y'all wake up. But all that to be said, congrats to Kourtney, congrats to the team, and I'll be excited to see what the good people, on the interwebs are saying about Lemme. Now, jumping right into the next topic, it is all about Allure revealing the winners of their coveted Allure Best of Beauty Awards. This is actually really exciting for me to see because so many brands that I follow, were announcing that they won these awards, and, some brands did promos and some brands, made videos. Hailey Bieber made a cake. So many people were sharing their sentiments and their exciting moments for these awards, and it was dope as well because you can tell Allure put together marketing materials for social, which is really smart, by the way. When brands are giving out awards or making big deals about this stuff for, or when these corporations are making these big deals for their publications and certain things like that, it's really dope to see them make it such a thing and to see how many people are just so happy for this type of accolade. And there's tons of brands who I know and have used, I actually won these awards. So I'm excited to actually go through them. There was actually 345 products that won awards this year under categories such as hair, makeup, hot tools, scents, breakthrough steals, splurges, and so much more. So many products, so many things. I'm going to go through a couple of them as well too, and talk a little bit about some of these processes as well, because it seems to be that the whole, this is a huge thing for Allure. So it seems to be as well that this is such this is their Emmys. This is their Oscars. This is their Olympics. This is the beauty Olympics in a way, you know what I mean? But it's really dope to kind of see the behind the scenes and what it actually takes for these editors and for the entire Allure team to actually pick these winners. So jumping straight in, let's do hair. Notice some notable brands on here. I also noticed a lot of old school brands that were on here, which was really interesting because, I always thought, Allure, yes, they've been around for decades, but to me, I think what makes them stand out is that they've always found a way to be relevant. Everyone, talks about Allure Meg and all that, but they've been really able to really branch out and really have this strong online presence. And you can tell that with the awards just straight off the bat. And then you can also tell that as well, too, with their Allure store that they launched as well a couple years ago, and how they've been able to really stay relevant in today's beauty society, so much so that these Best of Beauty Awards are a big freaking deal. So again, just really wanted to stress that out and just really say more so than anything, I'm very, very excited for a lot of these brands that won. For hair, I was mentioning, Briogeo, Head and Shoulders, JVN, Pattern Beauty won an award for their hair pick, which I had no idea Pattern Beauty had a hair pick, but I thought that was really interesting as well too. And some of these awards, I'm actually going to talk a little bit more about from my own personal experience with them. So I'm VV excited for that. But shout out to Pattern Beauty for winning for their hair pick, which I had no idea that they had one. And I thought that was really dope and really cool. So shout out to Pattern Beauty and shout out to all these brands here in the hair care category. Again, I'm just naming a few of them that definitely stand out to me. Breakthrough, which I thought was really interesting as well too, and giving a snapshot into what it actually takes for these breakthrough awards. So essentially, It takes half a year to crown Allure Best of Beauty breakthroughs through a process that's equal parts fun and involves more than switching and swatching lipstick and saying pretty. Specifically, they say after culling from over 600 submissions, holy moly, we landed on 40 finalists, then a panel of 20 expert judges made up of makeup artists, hairstylists, colorists, dermatologists, and cosmetic chemists pour over the product claims and accompanying clinical studies and took them out for a spin, while the Allure editors did the same. So very interesting to know as well too that they're bringing in other experts who are not just the Allure team itself to actually like judge what is actually going on, with particularly within these, you know, nominees in a sense, or these submissions, I should say. And then they say 100 packages and maybe 2 phone calls to UPS to track wayward deliveries. They gathered all the feedback. They got in-depth intel to approximately 35 interviews and 250 plus emails later. And as an end result, 7 products were actually, chosen within that time. Well, they said 7 products that aren't just the best at something, they're also the first at something, which I thought was really, really dope. So right off the bat, to me, some of the brands that won for breakthrough were YSL, Dyson, Maybelline, and particularly this product, which I have to talk about because I was literally on Sephora's website 2 days ago looking for this product and watching reviews on YouTube, which is Danessa Myricks Yummy Skin Blurring Balm Powder. So I don't even know what was going on in my brain. I think I just decided to go on the Sephora page just to kind of see what's new, what's exciting, because I had a couple things. I've been watching these beauty brands launch products, for the past couple months, and brands coming out with new launches and stuff like that. And I always love new launches. I love to see what's new and exciting. So the Danessa Myricks, the Yummy Skin Blurring Balm Powder, was a product that I had heard so many people talking about, and I saw it went viral on TikTok. I saw tons of people using it, so I decided to kind of like tap in, because I had even on YouTube saw a bunch of people who were also talking about this product, and everyone was going crazy because the shade range was excellent. Of course, shout out to Danessa, but people were talking about the universal shade that people were saying was amazing as a primer. And as someone who has oily, acne-prone skin, I gave up primer years ago, but I don't mind a little blurring. I don't mind a little smoothing a little bit to make my makeup look a little extra smoother. You know what I mean? So, and I've never actually bought anything from Danessa Myricks as well too. So this was, I was very excited to kind of tap in and see what it was. So I went on YouTube. I started looking up, who the people were, who the people were that were actually talking about this product, and then who were actually trying it out. And for me, I was looking for women who had my same shade. So again, I was looking at these reviews, and I was about to put this thing in the cart, and I wanted to actually get the universal shade, but they are actually sold out of it. So I put an email in for Sephora to notify me when it's back, and you best believe I am getting it when it gets back in stock, because the amount of love that this product has gotten is absolutely amazingly astronomical. And like, to me, it is such a testament to who Danessa Myricks is. She's an artist. She is a creator. She is a founder. She is somebody who understands that, like, even when makeup was having a little bit of a slow moment during the pandemic, she stuck to her guns and she made really great makeup products continuously. And she has been for the last like 10 years now, or maybe even more. And to me, what's really awesome is that, one, seeing her excitement, from the team and everything, but more so than anything, I'm just really happy that a product like this, as innovative as it was, won an award. And just to see the amount of love that it was getting prior to all this, again, is a testament to Allure for, again, having their pulse on what's going on in the beauty world. And yes, tons of people are involved in these processes, but I think what people are actually saying out in the world and on social and on TikTok and, publications, this product got a lot of love. And so I'm really happy, and congrats to Danessa for winning specifically for this awesome product. I honestly feel like it's probably one of the best products of the year, essentially. I feel like everybody and their mom is talking about it. So many people are in love with the product as well too. So and this is even more of a sentiment that immediately, as soon as I get that email, I'll be putting it back in my cart and buying it, because at this rate, I gotta stop playing around. Like, I really have to stop playing around. So shout out to all the winners there. Jumping into skincare, Rose MD won, Bioma, Gisu, Beekman, 1802, Cetaphil, Human Race. Again, some really dope brands in here as well. Skincare, was a big category, and it was just really dope to see, again, some like notable indie brands that I have been like having my eyes on for such a long time. Rose MD is sold in Sephora, but I've tried out their products in the past and they are absolutely immaculate. Like more so than anything, just high quality products. Definitely a little bit on the pricey side, but they should be because they're that good. Bioma was definitely one of the breakout brands of, I believe it was this year, maybe it was like late last year, that got into Target. Specifically their cleanser for their acne cleanser won this award. And it was just really dope to again see, another affordable indie brand in a sense, that really had the opportunity to win these awards. Again, just launching recently, and just getting so much love by people on social. And I think, again, that is something that's really taken in consideration with these awards as well too. It's, what are the people saying? You know what I mean? And it shows again that Allure really kind of is, as much as they're sitting there and reviewing and going through all the tests and the submissions and making sure, that certain judges get it and so on and so forth. Again, it's more of an indication that they are actually taking in what's going on within the culture itself, specifically the beauty culture. Body, Elta MD, Bath and Body Works, Touchland, which was really dope to see as well too. If you've never heard of Touchland, you've probably seen their really cute hand sanitizers that are like customizable and colorful. So that was really dope to see. Another product that I love and that won in the body category was the Topicals High Roller Ingrown Hair Tonic. Listen to me, y'all. I have had my eye on that product for such a long time, and I decided to finally bite the bullet and buy it. I believe I bought it a few months ago. It is the real deal. Like, it is the real freaking deal. Like, it is so good. It does work on ingrowns. As someone who doesn't, I wouldn't say I shave them like often. Like, I'm telling all my business here, but I typically shave when I gotta shave. You know what I mean? And specifically, I just always get ingrowns no matter what I do, and particularly around my bikini area, not so much my actual armpit area or like anywhere else on my body. But this product, this ingrown hair tonic, is the real deal. It works, it's solid, and I'm actually like, this is a huge like thing for me that like I'm saying this about topicals because I tried out their coveted faded serum that everybody and their mom was obsessed with and talking about, and I hated it. I felt like it didn't do anything and it was kind of funky, a little stinky. But like, this high roller ingrown hair tonic is the real deal. It is the real deal. Everybody should pick it up. It is serious. It's multi-purpose. You don't just have to use it, even on the body itself. Like, there's so many other ways that you can go ahead and use the actual product. And so shout out to Topicals for winning that award because they absolutely deserve it because it actually works. Like, sometimes we get caught up with these, beauty products and we buy it because of packaging or we buy it because it's like adjacent to a celebrity. But like, can we just buy beauty products that actually, focus on the fact that they actually work? Like, that's the main thing. So shout out to Topicals for that. They had a sensitive skin category as well too, or a sensitive actual category, which I thought was really dope. So CeraVe won in that category, Vichy won in that category, Necessaire won in that category. They had base makeup as well too. So again, some other standouts from Westman Atelier, NARS, One Size, Deck of Scarlet, which was really dope to see because I remember when Deck of Scarlet was just like one of those like brands that YouTubers would always like have as sponsorships. Like, to know that Deck of Scarlet has been able to evolve over these years and, outside of just like a subscription, like they've launched products, they've done collaborations, to see them like in this just is again a testament to the brand itself for how long they've been around and how they've been able to evolve and innovate. Live Tinted was on this list as well too. And then of course, the iconic, I can say it's iconic at this point, which is the Rare Beauty Soft Pinch Liquid Blush, which like if you have been living under a rock, is probably one of the most talked about makeup products of 2021. And I'll even chalk it up to 2022 because I can't, like, people keep talking about this blush. And I always say, always have to tell my rare beauty story because like, I wouldn't say I was gatekeeping it, but like it wasn't my MO to like tell everybody about it. But when Rare Beauty launched, I believe it was almost like 3 years ago now, maybe even 4, I could be wrong. But actually, let me double check when Rare Beauty actually launched. But outside of that, when Rare Beauty launched, I remember their rollout was very particular in the sense, was like they tapped into YouTubers at the time when YouTubers were still like in here. Like now they've all moved over to TikTok, but when these YouTubers were still like in their YouTube bag, they specifically tapped influencers, particularly influencers that I watched, to try out the Rare products. And I believe the moment I finished watching those videos, I added a whole bunch of stuff to my cart and I bought a whole bunch of Rare Beauty stuff. I bought their blushes. I bought 2 of their blushes. I bought 2 of their matte lips, and I ended up buying a highlighter. Love the highlighter. Hated the lips, the matte, soft. I hated those. They were horrible. I returned them immediately. But the blushes were always a standout. And I've had those blushes now for I think almost like 3 years. And like the product is still as pigmented, y'all. The product is still that good. And like you don't need a lot, as everybody and their mom says at this point, is the most pigmented blush on the market. And it's just so good. And like everybody knows that now. And again, when I found out about these blushes and heard they were, going viral and all that kind of stuff, I thought it was so interesting because I was like, I've been on these Rare Beauty blushes, like, holy freaking moly. But it was just dope to see that everybody was like super excited about, the blush itself and how I feel like that's probably one of Rare Beauty's like best like top selling products at this point. And you'll notice that as well too, because a lot of these publications and even Sephora as well too, they have sections on their website that talk about like viral products or like TikTok maybe buy it kind of segments and categories. And this blush is always on that list, like always on that list, always in that category. And so to me it's like shout out to them. Honestly, shout out to Rare for creating just like solid, good products. But at the same time, just coming up with innovative products. And, I feel like people love it, obviously, because of the Selena Gomez element, but the products are just good, y'all. And the actual blush itself, like I said, is a game changer. And like, if you have it, then you know that. Whoa, holy moly. All right. And going back to it, Rare Beauty was actually launched in 2020, I believe. So yeah, it launched in summer of 2020. So in the pandemic, y'all, which is insane. So finishing off, again, some of my faves from the Allure Best of Beauty Awards. They also had a steals section, which like they categorize as like drugstore / budget friendly. And The Ordinary One, St. Ives, Rosen Skincare, shout out to Rosen, Elf Cosmetics, Flower Beauty, and NYX Cosmetics again. And again, these aren't all the winners, but I wanted to highlight, again, the brands that I was familiar with, and just wanted to say congratulations to every brand that was able to win. Like, I know Ami Collet had won as well. Their mascara won. And just, I'm just really excited and happy that, like, I feel, and I said this on my stories the other day, that, like, makeup, beauty has always been a thing. But I believe like things like makeup, for example, have made such a comeback, that every brand is launching some sort of like, eyeshadow or skin tint or mascara. And just to see how much people revere these brands, and to know that, again, like I said, Allure has so much like clout in the sense of like people being so happy for these awards. And I think like it is such an honor as well to even, be in that category. And then, of course, to even have that opportunity to win. And I think so many people have, said time and time again when it comes to beauty, everyone's just trying to figure out where they fit. And we've been saying time and time again that the industry is saturated and this, that, and the third. But I think there is always going to be a place for these standout beauty products that are in this market, whether it's hair, whether it's makeup, whether it's skincare, whether it's body, whether, it's any, section of it. And I think what's just really dope is that everybody just was on the same page about being excited about this. Like I said, this is like the Super Bowl of beauty. This is the Oscars. This is the Olympics. This is like a really exciting time. And so, like I said, congratulations to everybody that won. And I'm excited to see what happens for the next year. Who knows? I was saying as well, too, that, I wish they had like a subscription box category, but I know Allure has their, beauty box, their best of beauty box specifically, or their Allure box. So, it would be interesting to kind of see if they'd ever have like a subscription box kind of element to it, because I totally think oily could be in a category like that. But, I'm just throwing my hat in the ring there. And last up, I'm really, really excited for this topic because to me, I'm going to find ways to circle back to it, in relation to other brands and what they've been able to do. But specifically, it was announced that Hero Cosmetics was acquired by Church & Dwight for $630 million. I know, y'all. Very, very expensive. But according to Forbes, the Hero Cosmetics team is thrilled, absolutely thrilled and ecstatic to have found a new home with Church & Dwight, the behemoth manufacturer behind Arm & Hammer, OxiClean, and Nair. The co-founder and CEO of Hero Cosmetics said, "We expect that we'll accelerate some of our growth plans, like continued U.S. expansion and growing our international footprint, while tapping into some of Church & Dwight's infrastructure and back office capabilities. And this acquisition with Church & Dwight marks a huge milestone in our company's history, and I'm super excited to unlock more growth with them." And so if you need a little bit of backstory about Hero Cosmetics, you've probably seen their iconic pimple patches literally all over the place, whether they are, on Amazon. They're killing on Amazon. They have like literally thousands of actual views, but they've hit the retail, market with these pimple patches and have completely taken over. I mean, like everybody and their mom knows about Mighty Patch. Everybody knows about Mighty Patch. It's a very affordable product as well too. And, it became such a popularized product, so much so that it actually allowed Hero Cosmetics to actually launch other iterations and variations of the pimple patch itself, like face patches, for example, and the Mighty Patch Invisible Plus. And it was actually named one of Allure's best beauty winners in 2020 as well too, now that we were just talking about Allure. But altogether, the brand has launched other brands in pimple care, right, with skincare and body care, and just having this entire holistic view about just what it means to, one, normalize that the fact that, breaking out is like part of the deal. But if there's something that we can do to kind of essentially help that, or, when it comes to a pimple patch, like, no one ever wants to feel, self-conscious when it comes to having pimples. And it can be a very self-conscious thing. And I feel like Hero Cosmetics normalize that. And I think, even though it's something simple as a hydrokeloid patch, so many people did not know that was an option, right? Because we were all putting toothpaste on our face, or we were all burning our skin with St. Ives apricot scrub or an OxiClean pad, to try to get rid of whatever blemishes that we had. And I just thought, when are people going to create things that are going to, yes, help us treat the pimples without us completely damaging our skin, but also the fact that like something like a pimple patch is something that's been going on in beauty for such a long time. It's just now we're putting an actual name to what it is. But all to be said, according to Forbes, again, the founder will continue her role as co-founder and CEO post-acquisition. And she specifically said, "I had no idea that the news would be so celebrated across the community and industry. It feels amazing. It feels amazing to book this win for the team at Hero and also for the community at large." She says, "I can't wait for Hero to tap into Church's and Dwight's resources and expertise, but I'm also eager to show them what Hero can do with our digital prowess," in which they've literally killing it on social. Like I said, everybody and their mom talks about Hero Cosmetics, whether it's influencers, whether they're doing paid partnerships, whether, again, it's just anybody and their mom who just finds their products, right, and loves them because they actually do work. And you've, again, like I said, you've probably seen them because you've seen people like, unveil their pimple patches with the white gunk all sucked up out of it. And it's honestly so therapeutic, guys. I'm not going to hold you. I don't like watching a lot of pimple popping videos, but watching somebody peel back a pimple patch patch that has all the gunk on it is very satisfying. I don't know what it is. It's kind of gross, but is very, very satisfying. And altogether, this also sparks this conversation that I have going on in my brain that I've been seeing a lot of other big companies looking to acquire beauty companies, right? Or just, these, companies that have solidified themselves in beauty. Like Estee Lauder is in talks to acquire Tom Ford, this other brand, I believe it's called Amore Pacific, is essentially in talks to buy Tata Harper. And, so many people have thoughts about this whole conversation of like, these big conglomerates or these big private equity firms or whatever buying, beauty brands and so on. And the biggest thing that I see a lot of people get into is, oh my God, when this person acquires this company, what's going to change, right? Oh, they're not going to be cruelty free anymore. Oh, they're not going to be, sustainable, or there's always some sort of uproar. But what I notice is specifically, and I want to tie this back to, the honey pot that I spoke about a few episodes ago, and about how the honey pot, which is a personal care brand, there was a rumor that got put out that they sold the company. And a ton of people were really, really upset about the fact that, the actual founder or the co-founder was actually like in talks of selling the company, even though it was a complete rumor that was started. But even outside of that, the company is a black-owned company. And, there was this whole uproar about them not being a black-owned company anymore because they sold, right? And Hero Cosmetics is particularly owned. The co-founder is also Asian as well, too. And to me, I saw the uproar of celebration. I saw a ton of people championing this, big acquisition. And sure, the co-founder is still going to be there and everything's going to remain as normal. But when I look at this, I think to myself, well, where was all that energy and excitement for the honeypot? It felt like everybody decided to go negative first. But even with Hero, everyone decides to go positive. And I get it, industry dealings and so on and so forth. But what I do notice is, there seems to be a little bit of I don't want to say hypocritical, but there seems to be like a double standard a little bit with, black owned businesses and like the possibility of them being able to be acquired and the fact of them quote unquote selling out. And the way that I look at it is people don't look at the CEO / co-founder of Hero Cosmetics and say that her company getting acquired for $630 million is her selling out, right? And people don't look at, Tom Ford is selling out if Estee Lauder decides to acquire them. Or people don't look at Tata Harper and think, oh, they're selling out because, this other big brand wants to actually buy them. But that doesn't always seem to be the case for black-owned businesses. And, I do think even having an opportunity happen like this for Hero Cosmetics, they've been at work, right? The brand launched in 2017. They've literally been killing it. Their growth is exponential. So they deserve getting acquired, especially if that was the move they were supposed to make as well, too. But, I will say in a sense, there is privilege there as well because the founders have tons of connections and they're able to make those moves. And yes, the numbers speak for themselves. Their growth speaks for themselves. But I think sometimes, you can chalk it up to the fact that like the playing field is never always going to be leveled for black owned businesses, particularly in the beauty space, specifically if you're also a woman as well, too, which I find there's more black owned woman beauty founders, particularly than there are in like any other kind of sector. But what I'm really interested to hope and see is that what will be the tune of other brands who get acquired? Is it celebration or is it AKA you're selling out, right? And with Hero Cosmetics, I saw the overwhelming support and love and like people using it as a case study and saying like, this is how you do it. And I thought it was really interesting because everybody was just ready to champion, and which you should be celebratory of this moment. But, it makes me think as well, too, as a black woman beauty founder myself, who's, I'll say this, when you create your brand, right? And, sometimes it's not always the best to attach it to the, like this thing, quote unquote culture. And it could, other brands can benefit from it. I've seen it happen time and time again, but it depends on what the culture is, right? And particularly when it comes to black people, we want to have certain things be a certain way, act a certain way, say a certain thing, and so on and so forth. And at the end of the day, there just seems to be so much more rules and so much more red tape. And with Hero Cosmetics, I don't know the intricacies of how they were able to, get this acquisition, or, I don't know the intricacies of Church and Dwight and how they acquired Hero. Obviously it was for a good chunk of money, 630 milli. But I think realistically, this also makes me think about the other brands that are out here that are, building to sell. And that is a reality for a lot of companies as well too, is that, a lot of these beauty brands, you might think, they're here, they're going to be here forever and so on. And that might not always be the case. I mean, look how many brands I've spoken about on What's New in Beauty that went bankrupt, right? Like BH Cosmetics or like Marc Jacobs slowly but surely trying to, selling out their stuff because they're looking to, change over their ownership from Sephora to somewhere else. Or even Fenty, like there was this big talk about like Fenty not being at Sephora anymore because they were selling at Ulta. Like there's so many moves that get made in the business world that I think not a lot of people understand. But realistically speaking as well, like this is a really cool opportunity for Hero Cosmetics to know that you've been able to build something from scratch, right? Since 2017. And now your company, your company's worth $630 million. Like, nobody knows what they're doing in the beginning. Everybody's just trying to figure things out as they go. And I think this is a really cool testament to brands out there to know, again, if you make the right connections, if you have the right people in your corner, if you're able to create something as well too that's really dope and that the market hasn't seen before, that this is your opportunity to say, okay, like let's really do this thing fully. And so Hero Cosmetics, again, I think is a testament to that. And again, their growth and being able to literally be everywhere and loved by so many people. To see, again, them make this transition, it'll be interesting to see how the company changes throughout the years afterward, or even currently as well too in 2022 now that we're here. And, people have the same thought process as when L'Oreal acquired Youth to the People, right? People were like, oh, I don't know if they're going to be cruelty free anymore. I don't know what's going to happen. And, people had their panties in a tizzy a little bit. But what I do think, matters at the end of the day, and I think a lot of these big companies, these big corporations understand, is that even if you are choosing to acquire these companies, it's not in your best interest to completely overhaul everything that these companies have been doing, because we live in a time now where people are so vocal. We live in a time now where your brand could be hot today and like canceled the next. And so I think it's in the best interest of a lot of these companies, like the Church and Dwights and the L'Oreals and the Estee Lauders, that when you do acquire these indie brands or these brands that, are really doing amazingly well and, you're paying upwards to millions of dollars for it, not to come in and overhaul, not to come in and completely change things around. Because why would you do that? Like, why would you do that? Like, the actual founder, the co-founder, and the CEO still being on as the co-founder makes complete sense. What makes complete sense? Because why would you have something be completely different than what it is that you actually bought it for, right? And so, I think this again is a true testament to anybody who has a brand currently right now, and maybe you have thoughts and ideas about wanting to sell your company one day, or you want to build something so much and put your blood, sweat, and tears, and someone's offering you millions of dollars, maybe even billions, depending on how awesome your brand becomes, to say, hey, we want to buy your company, but we still want you in the fabric and the ecosystem of what it is that we do. I look at that as a win-win, y'all. Building a brand is hard. Being a founder, being a CEO is hard. Like, people make it look real good. And I know we're all obsessed with like the celebrities starting their own beauty brands and stuff, but you got to remember that a lot of these people are like the face. Not a lot of these people are doing the day in, day out logistics. And a lot of these brands that, grow to these levels, like they all start out by doing the day-to-day logistics and everything on their own, right? Unless you're a big celebrity like a Sierra or a Rihanna or a Lady Gaga or a Selena Gomez, you're not going to have the clout that other people are going to have. So you got to figure out other ways, you know what I mean? And not even really about that. You just have to have a really good product, have really great connections, and find those individuals who can give you those resources and put you in the room to ensure that like you're in the standing of building a really solid brand. Because that's really what it's going to be at the end of the day. And then you get an opportunity like this when somebody's saying, hey, your company is worth this amount of money and we want to buy you, we want to buy it, and we don't want to buy you, but we want to buy it because we think that we can make it even bigger than what it is, right? Because I don't think anybody, who buys a really successful brand is saying like, let's buy it and turn it into something completely different, right? I mean, we've seen it happen where, again, big conglomerates, big organizations and companies will buy brands and they'll go downhill. But we've seen other things as well too with these big, again, corporations who are buying these indie brands and are allowing these indie brands to still operate in that sense. It's just, now they're acquired by L'Oreal, but these individuals are still on the team. They're still co-founders. They're still very part of the fabric of like how the company is successful, for years and years and years until they're ready to do something else. And I just think that's where things are going. Like, expect some of your favorite beauty brands, skincare brands, makeup brands, one, to either close down because they don't got any money, right? Because that's a reality, or to be acquired by some of these huge conglomerates who are looking to add to their portfolio because, look at Revlon, for example, right? Like, Revlon doesn't have the smoke, right? Revlon didn't have the smoke, but if they made the decision to acquire some other indie companies underneath their belt, they probably could have stayed afloat. But no, they wanted to compete. And, there's only a few of those really big brands that are competing, and doing the damn thing, like the Olays and like the CeraVes and, like Maybelline. And, there's certain brands like that have been able to really stand the test of time. But a Revlon, it's like, you got to find another way, right? And like I said, L'Oreal is acquiring indie brands underneath their belt, right? Even some of these retailers, the Targets, the Ultas, the Kohl's, right? They are finding ways to stay relevant because they realize what we've been doing for such a long time isn't going to work anymore, right? There's new beauty brands being launched every single day, innovative beauty brands that just aren't where they're supposed to be fully because of resources and money and viewership and exposure. But if a big company decides to say, hey, we love what you're doing and we want to buy you out, right? That's okay. Especially considering if that individual feels like, okay, like my time is up and I'm ready to do something else, right? And so I've said a bunch of things within this, but I just am so happy for Hero Cosmetics. I'm happy that they came out with something super innovative and have been able to grow exponentially since 2017. And again, I'm just happy for anybody who builds something and puts something out there into the world and then just do good stuff, right? You do good work, you do good stuff, you make good products, and people love it fully, right? And a brand, a company, an organization sees that and wants to be a part of that in some way, shape, or form, right? Because we're all doing this, yes, because we want to change the world in some way, shape, or form, but we also want to be noticed by the masses, right? Hero Cosmetics wants to be everywhere, which in my brain, I think that they are, but maybe they're not. Maybe they want to be in more retail. Maybe they want to be killing it in other areas, and now they're able to go ahead and do that, right? And I think, again, it is a true testament that it can really happen to anybody. But again, right connections, you need to be in the right room at the right time, make a gosh darn it good product, and find a way, again, to be in the rooms of those individuals that can, in a sense, change your life. Because a lot of the people within the Hero Cosmetics team, like, they have those connections for a reason, right? And who knows what's going to happen to, any other individual, in the ecosystem of Hero Cosmetics as well, too. And I can say that about any brand, right? A lot of these brands that y'all love, a lot of them came to be because they were execs at big beauty companies and then decided to launch these brands, right? They have clout in the industry already. They have connections already. They were, marketing managers or directors or, partners or journalists or editor-in-chiefs at some of these big beauty publications that are now coming out with product and are, really doing the damn thing. And it's just really dope to see how many people have been able to make that transition. But again, what I've just noticed is a lot of people are, shocked by this whole conversation of acquisition and other, big conglomerates buying companies and so on. And, I think at the end of the day, we're all like able to make decisions on like who we want to support and who we want to give our money to. So I always say, put your money where your mouth is, right? Y'all can have your Twitter fingers all day, all long, but the reason why these companies are successful is because of you, right? Heroes Cosmetics doesn't have a company worth $630 million if not for all of us regular people out here buying their products and getting them to that scale and giving them the reviews and, so on and so forth, right? So that's really just like the makeup of everything. Everybody is, here to do something in their, in one way, shape, or form to create really dope stuff. And other people are noticing that, and other people want to acquire it and again add it to their portfolio. And I love that the co-founder and the CEO is staying on as her role, and it seems to me that this is going to be a really, really dope. Specifically, this is a really, really dope just like transition for anybody who has built something from scratch and is now making the decision to sell it, but is still a part of the process of the brand. And whatever now they decide to go ahead and do post Hero Cosmetics, let's just say, people will be a part of that journey because we're all in it together in a sense. You know what I mean? Like we're all part of the fabric of that. So shout out to Hero Cosmetics. Congrats to all their success. And I'm excited to see what more beauty acquisitions come up for 2022 and 2023 and beyond, because I have a feeling more of this is going to start happening, but slowly but surely. You guys know I will always keep you updated with that. But until then, y'all, thank you so much for joining me for another episode of What's New in Beauty, and I will catch you in the next one.